Self-made savage, self-made this.
Shut.
Welcome to v4yav Media, where we talk about the realest, most intimate issues and topics that are affecting our community. Welcome back and thank you. It's a privilege and honor to have you again. We're going to get straight into this. First question: how do we change a society that constantly labels and stereotypes young black men in its foremost, in its truth and in its essence, and how it affects every other ethnicity?
So how do we change labeling? I would say that we need restructuring of the government, really, and all the interventions in place. I feel like there needs to be programs where they need to be able to identify people's prejudices and racism. So, and then once people are aware of that, they need to create programs to like deconstruct their preconceived conceptions. And then, yeah, I think they just need to fund a lot of programs to actually fight racism and prejudice head on, instead of just talking about it. I feel like there actually needs to be interventions, especially for like older people who have like their own like closed-minded views on things. Because like, who's teaching them apart from their kids, you know? Like, what does the government, what does this country actually do for these people? Like, how are they gonna like see the open picture, bigger picture? And then that's just like the start. And then, yeah, like, if we could like tackle their negative stereotypes head on, I'm pretty sure it'll be a safer place for like young black males into society.
That's a really fantastic and very informative answer, and it brings me on to my next question. In terms of criminal records and how young people can make a mistake and then be labelled for the rest of their life, not get a job, and then inherent be caught back up in the vicious cycle they're trying to exit from. How do we improve rehabilitation, and do you feel that criminalising young people is the way forward?
Yeah, I think definitely decriminalisation of a lot of petty crimes like cannabis and all of that. It's silly. It's trapping kids in like a life of crime. Like, definitely, like, you have to decriminalise. Like, these kids are getting stuck from a petty crime, and they're more likely to do harder crimes because they're like, okay, now I can't go to school, now I can't get a proper job. Like, what else is there for them? Like, you know, a life of crime where they can make big money. You know what I mean? So they need to decriminalise stuff so they still have opportunities to excel themselves legally. Yeah, I feel like they definitely need to decriminalise, and yeah, they just need to do more for the kids. They need to actually, before they even do more for the kids, they need to listen to the kids. Listen, because a lot of people have been saying for time and time again, they just need more funding for the community. Like, they could build all these nice restaurants and gentrify places and force people out, but like, what are you actually doing? Like, shouldn't you be improving life at home instead of, you know, what's around? Like, there's actually a clear problem. Like, what is there for these kids? There needs to be better education. Like, the education is just like, a lot of people are left out of that system. People aren't catered towards in that. Yeah, like, improve schools, improve facilities, improve interventions. I think they definitely can, they just need to prioritise it. I feel like it's definitely on their low prioritised tasks. Like, I don't know what the government's really like more concerned about, but it definitely feels like this is the least of their worries.
And why is that? Why do you feel that they think it's the least of their worries?
I feel like the government could have done it by now, right? Like,
yeah.
Easily. I feel like they're worried about other stuff like what, Brexit, stuff like, I don't know. I do feel like there's institutionalized racism sometimes. Like, I can't help but feel that way, you know. Like, I don't know. They're worried about losing I know the world's gone into depth, you know, because of COVID and stuff. Like, I don't know, sadly, they just don't care. I just feel like that. I feel like they care, but they not as much. I feel like they definitely need to like bump up the priority for sure. Like, it's about time. Like this needs to like stop, you know, stop, or it just needs to get better.
And lastly, for young people watching and listening that have been stereotyped, have been labelled, have been given a criminal record, have been institutionalised, what advice could you give them to help them to see, to feel, and to believe in themselves?
Just believe that a label is just a label at the end of the day. You don't have to fulfill that label. Like, we could always reject these labels, and even if you're trapped, even if you feel like you're trapped in a life of crime, there's always opportunities, there's always opportunity, and there's always support. There's a lot of stuff you could actually do where you wouldn't get checked for a criminal record, especially not a petty one. So I feel like just a lot of research into all these areas. There's always something for someone. You just need to, like, when something like that happens, you just have to look a bit harder. Like, there's no such thing as no opportunities for someone. But I feel like, yeah, just reject these labels. Like, you know yourself better than a silly label that this government's going to give you and a petty criminal record. That doesn't define you.
Niggas be standing and fronting like clicks when I gather them up and get hit with this blick. If the money's on the table, I'm taking a trip. I put pressure on niggas, they fold and they quit. And I have to admit, I don't